Hey everyone, it's Manav, and today I'll be sharing with you how I got my first high ticket client at 19 from a third world country. So in today's video, I'll be sharing with you exactly my exact situation that I was in, right? And exact DM screenshots that got me my first trial clients, and exact method through which I got my first paying clients and all of those things. So without any further ado, let's just begin with it, right? So this is when it all began, at 16. So let me just begin with you telling my situation back then. This is where I used to live particularly, right? This was the place. I used to live basically in a third world part of a third world country, right? And I have spent like 18 years of my life here. And this is where I began. And like all these things that you see, like this room and whatever, I'm gonna tell you exactly how I came up to this place and every single thing, right? Now I was 16, and almost at the end of 11th grade or junior year, you can say. Now, like the question that most people don't ask themselves is like, why did they even begin in the first place, right? To be really honest with you, I don't really like to talk about this, much online. But let's just say that the previous 13, 14 years, right? I was 16 back then, so 13, 14 years that I spent, they weren't pretty either, right? And it had like really, really good effect on my nervous system, right? The thing is like between zero and between to making like your first 1K a month or 10K a month, you're gonna be, like placed in a boxing ring where you have to face against your own like the deepest, darkest things, right? So for example, like let's just say, for example, right, let's just say you are a people pleaser. You're gonna be handled in a situation where like you have to, fight that thing because like to be really honest with you, if you are a people pleaser, you just basically have to, like kind of let go of that quality in a good way, right? So that like if necessary, you can still be really polite with people, but not every single time, right? But anyways, so it wasn't that I have to do it, right? It was like nothing like that, but it was just that this online business thing was like kind of my only ray, um my only hope, right? And like it was basically like a lifeline, right? So I was like, let me just, like try it. So obviously in a third world country, especially where I lived, you don't have a mom's basement with an iPhone and a MacBook. Look, I'm not trying to compare, but the thing is like I know most of you, like are from post world, and I'm not trying to compare, I'm not trying to say I'm superior or inferior, but it is what it is, right? I did not had these things when I began. Instead, I had a laptop that was my sister's for her study, right? But since she wouldn't use it, I would, right? But it didn't had a camera, right? The laptop that I was using, it didn't had a camera, right? So even if I were to book a call, I didn't know how I was gonna take it. Plus, I was living with my parents, I still do. But like back then, I didn't had my own room, right? So like I had to choose time. They were like 3 a.m. or 5 a.m. so that, like it would be quiet. And the most strict part amongst all of this was my schedule, right? I was in 12th grade when I began, right? Almost. So I would wake up at, like 6:15, then I would have like school at 7 to 2, then I would come home, tuition, and then another tuition, and then, like eat and all of these things. And then from 10 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. I would study. And from 12:30 to 3 a.m. I would send outreaches, right? And as if you would know, I was a swimmer growing up almost half of my life, if you don't know. So this schedule was something that I was kind of used to, right? This was the phone that I used to use, right? It was $100 phone that I bought 5 or maybe like 5.5 years ago, right? And yeah, this was my situation back then, right? This is what all the weapons I had. I wouldn't really call them weapons, right? I basically like started below zero, right? I I'm not trying to say, that all of these things. Alex Hormozzi quotes this that, there's always someone who had it worse than you and still did it better. So I'm not trying to say, like I was in a worst position, but it was still kind of bad. But important, like again, keep this in mind. I had like really freaked 14 years before, right? Before I even began, and I don't really like to talk about it, but whatever. And like the anxiety and panic stuff wasn't something new, right? But let me just begin with it, right? The phase one, March to June 2023. I was 16 at this point, and the trial of Fiverr and lead generation. So let me just give you a bit of backstory. What was happening was like try, right? So I create my profile on Fiverr, and Looking back at this message that I got, I'm gonna tell you exactly what was it. I got this person, he said that he wanted some leads or whatever. The thing was like he wanted some sample, right? So basically like lead generation, if you don't know, so they basically give you a list, right? And you have to find their emails, their contact information and all of these things. He asked me to like first give him samples of like 20 to 25 contacts before. So I was like, okay, let me just give it a try, right? And 2 days later I responded with this, that hey, sorry to disappoint, right? I wasn't able to do it. Then obviously he was being nice, but that is what happened, right? I was not able to handle the pressure of getting my first client, right? And yeah, I just backed off, right? And that is how important your mental health is if you don't know in this game, but whatever. Then, I tried video editing. Obviously it failed because like the laptop that I had, my sister's, it was like 3 years old and it would lag a lot. Plus, everyone was doing video editing back then, plus even now, right? So I needed something that a lot of people were not doing so that, like I can have some advantage at least. Plus, it had to be something which required basically like zero investment because like I didn't had any money back then. So I was in grade 12 now, senior year. Just if you don't know, it's given a lot of freaking importance here. So, and by importance, I mean a lot of importance. Now, this was the phase two, right? June to December 2023. Yeah, so these 6 months, I'm gonna tell you how they spent, like how I spent them and what all things that happened. So the rise of Android, right? I assume it was around this time, right? So he brought in like some really good logical arguments. Other than that, like he didn't really make sense to me, at least personally to me, right? But he came up with really good arguments. He launched his own the real world university, and it was like getting a lot of attention and whatever. And like, let me just tell you what happened. I got access to his program for free on Discord, right? There for the first time, I heard of copywriting, and I was like, what is this thing? Because anything else, it was trading, video editing, or like crypto or whatever, and it all of these need investment. Plus, it needs like bank details or whatever. Plus, like I was 17. Forget about bank, bro. I didn't had like anything, right? So like it was out of imagination, right? I don't think I need to tell you this, but I wanted to start something which required $0, and copywriting was my only option, right? And a fun fact, I knew about copywriting earlier than KJ, right? Everyone would know KJ if you know about copywriting, but he was, in the game for 3 to 4 years and had all these stars aligned for him, which obviously, like he spent basically like his last 3 to 4 years work in different things, and he obviously like worked for them, but whatever. And like I was still doing Fiverr a bit, right? But like let me just tell you, like I created this thing, like basically in Fiverr you have to create a thumbnail like image where like people click on it, and like all of these things. And from June to July, like I promoted my Fiverr account everywhere I could, but as expected, it didn't work, right? And soon after, I stopped Fiverr and got all into cold outreach because of these two guys, right? You know, these two guys became the source of all of my information to gain the skill of copywriting. I got access to their courses for free on Discord, right? Let me just tell you this, bro. I obviously told you my situation back then, where I was from, and like what my situation was. So if I have to get courses from Telegram or Discord, then so be it, right? The thing was like, look, is it ethical? No, it's not ethical, right? Um, but like the thing with me was clear. Once I make money from their program, I'm just gonna, like pay them back twice as much, right? Because like the only thing I cared about was getting out of that place, right? So um but like that never happened. So pro tip, a really good thing, their free courses got millions of views on YouTube, right? And everyone was using the same outreach method. A really simple and easy way to get clients in that situation is do the complete opposite of what these people say, right? So I'm gonna, like continue with the story, but just a quick thing. Like, if anyone is saying you that, like, hey, do this like bait and raise or like all of these cold outreach method, just like do simple email cold outreach and you will still get clients, because you will stand out, people will notice, and that is all you need, right? So but like I didn't know this thing back then, so I used to send DMs like, hey, you doing anything with emails right now, right? And it was like really famous thing back then. And like as you can see, like December 2023, well, I had a lot more, but like whatever. Then I met this guy, and he was a savior, bro, right? Not even kidding. His name is Ronnie. I saw him for the first time in a Discord server, and he was helping people, I don't know, maybe he wanted some testimonials or whatever. But still, like what happened was, like, long story short, I DM'd him, right? And he actually helped a frick lot, right? He was making money back then, and even, like if someone is making money, right, they don't need to help anyone, right? But he still did. He would also hop on calls with me just to, like help with different things. And because of him, I got my first try client, and like he helped with a heck lot with that also. So like just a screenshot. Basically, like we were talking about call, and I said like it's 4 a.m. So basically at the time that I was like chatting with him, and yeah, like I was sending cold outreaches at like 4 in the morning, right? But anyways, that is what happened. And like he used to keep pushing me like this and all of these things, right? And then this was the thing that got me my first trial client, right? So, hey, name, I hope that you're doing great, and I don't want to waste both of our time. So, I will try to keep it super quick and all of these things, right? Now, before you copy it, let me just tell you it will not work. Why? Because, like, the reason it worked, because like 2023 was 2 years ago, right? The reason it worked was because like no one was doing it, right? I was maybe like one of the few who was doing it. Plus, like I was sending like 25 to 30 outreaches every single day, right? So I did those things, right? And I got this free trial client, right? Basically like what he wanted was like a landing page. It used to work a lot back then, right? Looking back at it, I would have killed that thing, right? But like Ronnie obviously helped me with like he told me like a lot of like free softwares through which I can do it, right? And I did, right? So yeah, like huge shout out to him if that makes any difference, but whatever. Phase 3, which was January to March 2024, I was 17 now. Now let me just, like come back to story a bit. I failed in my pre-end year exams, right? Since I already was having really bad anxiety and panic stack, the decision to put this on hold intensified, right? And I paused copywriting thing for 3 months, and because like my mom started getting calls from school, and like I just had to put it on hold, right? Because I was not making any money from it. Plus, like back then, I wasn't really like someone who could keep it his word, right? So yeah, like I just failed on those things. I panicked, my anxiety got really bad, and yeah, so there is a lot of, like thing that happen in personal life also, right? Basically like the teachers I had, I never really, like got along with them, right? I don't know why. Our methods were just like really different, but like so I stopped going to any tuitions. I would just stay at home and I would study for 8 9 hours every single day, right? Because again, like 12th grade here is like kind of really tough, and yeah, so like I had to do it. So like above I told you that this online business thing was my only ray, and that ray stopped having, right? So basically like it stopped having this thing, and not surprisingly internally, like things got a lot fricked, right? And if you don't know, like there is like this farewell kind of thing at the end of high school, right? And I, like, bro, like anyone, they just, like go into that party, have fun or whatever. I did not, right? I did not go into that thing because like I wanted to, like just get back onto copywriting. And like that was the thing that was happening. And long story short, March 27, all of my exams got over, and this was my mark sheet, right? And the real war began. But anyways, what happened after this was like I opened my bank account, right? That is what I did. And the first thing I did was in between January to March, Iman Ghazi, like he launched digital launchpad, right? It was like really famous course. Everyone knows about it. It was $37, right? My mom gave me that money and I bought that thing, right? Even though it wasn't of much use, the thing was like I already had a free version of it, but maybe, like I thought that calls on Discord would make a difference. Yes, they do, right? But again, like not much, right? So that is what the thing was, right? Then phase three, beginning of the final war. And now this part is from April 2024 to May 2025, and this is like more than a year. I was 18 now, and this is like really long period, and let me just tell you what happened, right? A lot happened in this period. So the first thing that I want to tell you is like I made my first money online, $200, right? Nothing changed because the thing was like um I got it in a different way, right? I'm gonna talk about it later, but I'm gonna tell you like, how I got like real client results and made big money because like $200 is really nothing. Plus it wasn't consistent, right? Really big learning as you have seen throughout. Buy courses from Telegram if you cannot afford it, right? I spent like 1.5 years in the dark. The thing is like, you know my situation, right? And maybe like me, maybe like, you are the people, right? So the thing is like, to try and make money without having any courses is basically like wasting your time, right? Because like you're trying to figure out something that someone else has already figured out, and you're just basically, like trying to, like waste your time because of that. And that is why, like it took me like really, really long time to make my first dollar, right? Then another thing that happened was like I got into a shtick college because of some ups that I did, right? Basically, like, after the high school, you have to fill up a college form. My thing was really clear that I wanna drop out. I wanna, like I don't wanna do college. But again, like my nervous system. Look, I keep saying nervous system, but it basically was like a combination of like different things that was happening, right? It wasn't just like one part of the system, it was like every single thing, right? So like anyways, let me tell you what, I was not able to stand on what I said, right? So we paid like college fees, not we, my parents did, right? And maybe this or one thing after this was the last money that I ever took from my parents, right? So it was total of $1,700, and believe me or not, it's a big money here, right? Another thing that happened, really, really best thing that happened was like I moved into a different place, right? And for the first time, I see things that I never saw, right? So for example, like um I'm not gonna name them, but like obviously that was the thing that happened, right? And like I've really compressed one long year into these like short key points, but understand that like by this point, by May 2025, it has been like 2 complete years, a bit more than that, of me trying to make money, right? And that was the thing that happened, right? We moved into a new place. I had like really good view from here, but obviously like this is not something that I wanna be, but like it's obviously better. But I'm gonna tell you the exact story, right? I had my own room for the first time, like again, like really big upgrade, right? Um, really, really cool thing. And like any webcam you see here or this mic that I'm using, I bought this from my own money, right? I started posting videos on YouTube. Really, really best decision that I took in 2025. Well, let me just think. Not the best decision, but again, like one of the best ones was like, um, I started making videos on YouTube, right? And you wanna see the phone that I did it on? This was the phone that I used to use, right? I maybe showed you this phone in the beginning, right? And this was the phone that I used to use. It had like a 32 GB storage. And then another thing that happened was like I got this course on Telegram for free, and this was my game changer, right? I pivoted from copywriting to helping coaches with client acquisition, right? If you are, there will be just a single link in the description. You can book a quick call. But let me just tell you, like again, why I pivoted. Because the thing is like, I was a copywriter for a really long time, right? But I realized that, like Look, if you want to make money with, copywriting, the only options for you right now is either writing ads or writing YouTube scripts, right? Well, basically, like there are more ways. You can write sales pages, you can write emails and all of these things. And believe me or not, bro, I have done all of that, right? Multiple tick. Look, I can make money by writing ads, right? It wasn't like something that I cannot do. But the thing is, like with me personally, I like to play in center and I like to win there, right? I don't want to, like go into e-com thing or like all of these things. Look, in my opinion, the info product space, the central pillar of it are high ticket coaches, right? And I wanted to play in the middle and I want to win here, right? So like I basically like let go of that thing. I started like, learning client acquisition and all of these things. And as you can see, like, my YouTube, I got like different results. But yeah, and after this will come like the decision that I took was the most important decision for me in all of the 2025. And the thing is like it still does not have a clear answer. I don't know if I made the right decision or not, but yeah, that is what it is. Phase 4, May to January 2026, right? May 2025, January 2026. I am 19 right now. And this part was the death of my old self from Roots, right? This is where this shit got real, right? June 2025, I got 19. Um, I was not really getting results, right? I was working for it and, like I was facing continuous delays and all of these things. I was frustrated and my anxiety and panic thing, like really got bad, right? And for continuous 20 to 25 days, I still remember because June 2 was my birthday. And, like after that, the else of the June was like completely like a downward shift, right? And, like again, like this was the reason I was already fixing my nervous system because it's really important for anyone to fix. But like, I was like, let me just kill this problem once and for all, right? Because like it was disturbing me from the beginning, right? And plus, like I again and again mentioned that nervous system. It wasn't just like this one single thing, right? There was multiple different other things, right? That again, I don't like to talk about, a lot of things was happening in personal life and whatever. So yeah, that was the thing, right? So made my first big money in June 2025 and I dropped out of college in July 2025, right? Okay, this is the big part. Let me just tell you how it happened and all of these things. The thing is, like, I was already like more than 2 years into the game, and right, I knew like different. I already knew more than copywriting, right? Because like I was already always like one step behind, right? When I learned email, people moved on to sales pages, right? When I learned sales pages, people moved on to YouTube scripts. When I learned YouTube scripts, they moved on to like ads, right? And before learning ads, I just, like got out of it was like a never-ending story. Plus, like, like these high-ticket coaches who I really like to work a lot with, like they don't need YouTube scripts. I mean, like I'm making YouTube video and no one can write this my robot for me, right? So that was the thing that, like stopped happening. So I was like, let me just drop out, right? And I still haven't gone to college in the last like 190 to 200 days, right? I don't know if I made the right or wrong decision because like, look, I make money right now. I'm not gonna reveal how much is it, how and why. Well, the thing is like how I got this client. Well, first of all, I got my first client, right? Around like the first real client, which I helped from the roots was like in June 2025, right? In which I had like multiple breakdowns and shtick. I got him from a cold outreach, right? Because like, look, bro, again, if you wanna know how I did the cold outreach, I will tell you what. So there were, coaches in the beginning who suggested that you should do, hey, can you do anything with emails right now, right? That was the thing that was working. And hundreds of thousands of people, like just start pumping these things to e-com business owners, to high-ticket coaches, all of these guys, right? And these guys were, like kind of really frustrated from this thing. In fact, a lot of them, put it in their story that if anyone sends me this outreach message, I'm just gonna block them, right? But people being people, monkey see, monkey do. That is what they keep doing. That is what I kept doing. And then around February 2024, KJ came into place along with Jason with a testimonial that, Jason got his first client in 22 days and, like got his first $1,000. And, like, you want to know the real story? The thing is, like, there is no shortcut to it, right? Jason, he took the risk at the right time, right? He invested in KJ when no one even knew about KJ, right? And he invested in the right time, and he already, like had like few things aligned with him. He was in a first world country, right? He had like good setup and all of these things with him. And moreover, like he worked, right? So for continuous 22 days, he sent outreaches from the method that KJ came up with. He got his first client, right? But again, a lot of things that people don't know is like, it is for sure that for the next 6 months, Jason would have spent like countless hours on refining a skill, because like you cannot shortcut your way to skills, right? Yes, he made money early, which is like really, really good, right? But like either people get their clients first and then learn the skill, or they learn the skill and then get the clients, right? The way Jason did, or that happened with Jason, was obviously like something that everyone wants to do, right? But it does not happen with everyone, right? Moreover, like he took multiple risks, right? Anyways, the reason, KJ's high value outreach method worked was because, like, it wasn't because of reciprocity, right? He came up with that thing that, like, reciprocity is the principle that makes this outreach best. Not really, right? I mean, yes, to some degree it works, but like the reason it worked a lot was because like KJ just went completely opposite of what market said, right? So everyone in this, like niche said that, hey, can you do anything with emails right now? Whereas KJ asked Jason to, like just create a free sales page for this potential client, right? And obviously, like it was a big thing back then, right? And when everyone started doing these things, then it stopped working, right? So it's not like high value outreach is bad, or like, like, hey, can you do anything with emails is bad, but it's just like market maturity, right? The thing is like the coaches that you're targeting to, they have been on your path a long time before, so they know that what you're trying to do, right? I get multiple DMs with just like 46 subs, right? And I know that every single one of them just want to get money from me, right? But like the thing is like, if you want to actually get clients from cold outreach, the only way is to mix value with volume, right? And there is no one way for it, right? You have to mix value with volume. You have to send a large number of outreaches, and those outreaches must be valuable, right? Basically, like imagine of it like this. Let's just say you have a big land, and in that land are like that land is just plain, right? And you have a pot of seeds in your hand, and what you have to do every single day for the next 2 years is just like have those seeds and plant them. And it will be just like luck, and one of those seeds will grow into a tree, right? You don't know which seed is that gonna be. I don't know, and no one knows about it, right? Which is why, like, the more seeds you sow, the more chances of you increases to get lucky, right? So basically, like, getting clients is just like a game of luck, but like you have to create your own luck, right? So, like you just basically like have to every single day wake up, send outreaches or sow those seeds, and one day, on a one random day, you will just, like get that a reply, and you will hop on a call and you will make money, right? So it's just like that in like one single day, that seed will grow into a tree, and you wouldn't even, like even know about it, right? It will surprise you more than anything, right? There is a way, there is a cheat code to fast this process, and that process is creating videos on YouTube. That is what I did, right? So if I show you, I started creating videos on YouTube. So if let's just say 20 people watch this video, which is what people did, right? I sow 20 seeds in just like 17 minutes, and I unlisted this video, and if it were to be public, it would have gotten like 60 views by now, right? And I had done nothing, and I still, like sown 60 seeds, right? So like um that is how this thing work, right? So like one day you will just like um by surprise get a DM from people, right? Like I got a DM from this guy that, hey, let's just work together, right? And we talked and like hopped on a call, signed him and made money, right? But again, like what is the script, or like what is the method? The method is that no one is doing, right? Basically, like if someone comes up, or like not even comes up, but see for yourself, right? A lot of people do Instagram outreach. Why? Because like it's simple, it's easy, and it's personalized. If you do email outreach, it will obviously get you better results for now, right? And in my opinion, you can do both, but the only condition is you have to be different, right? Um, okay, I was gonna talk about it later, but let me just tell you, I got this phone, right? iPhone 15. I recognized a feature in there, which was stickers, right? So I was like, what is this? And I followed up with I followed up with clients through stickers, right? And it got like really good reply results, right? My follow-ups started getting a lot more replies than it used to, because like I started, like creating these like stickers which were really fun, and no one is doing it. And now if you do it, I don't know what will happen, but like, again, like it's really gonna be crazy, right? And that is, like what happened. And I dropped out of college. One thing that I'm not telling you, I will tell at the end, and it's really important. Since I got results like these for my clients, right? Like got him like 1 on 10 YT videos, signed him his first ever client, and did that with multiple different guys, right? I got like results like these for myself, right? um like getting like DMs, inbound DMs like these, and like comments and booking calls, pretty crazy stuff if you ask me, right? And I started my own YouTube channel, 3 or 4 or maybe even a lot of months ago, but like it worked like pretty crazy. And this is what I meant to say, right? I got onto like an iPhone 15, right? Pretty crazy. um and yeah, like if I just show you like where I was at, at this point, bro. Now, before telling you what what will, like the way forward, let me just tell you, right? What are the things, how to get your first high ticket client for yourself at present conditions? Number one thing, non-negotiable, start posting videos, right? Look, bro, I know, like that you don't have a good setup, or you have a bad phone. I told you all of these things, right? And I still did it, right? So like, I don't know if any excuse is gonna make any difference, but you have to do it. There is no any other choice, right? Second thing, you have to be really consistent, right? If you just on and off 4 months, let's just say that you worked for 4 months, then like for 2 months you're preparing for your college exams. I don't know how you're gonna do it, right? Just manage it with college if you can, right? So yeah, like even if it's like 4 hours per day, you have to do it, right? Then like another thing that you need is to sacrifice, right? I sacrifice it. Bro, I sacrifice going to college, right? Like I heard a lot of comments, like on that thing. I still do, right? But yeah, like you need to sacrifice that is, like not aligned with what you want to do, right? Another thing that you gotta do is like take action, right? How can I show you, bro? Like I don't know if I can. I have 22 books, right? And for the last 1 year, I have not bought a single book, because, like, the thing is, like, bro, I already had the knowledge from the beginning, right? You cannot even believe, bro, like, people who are dumb than you, they are making like 10K a month, and you're not making any money. This guy had on his YouTube banner that um, overthinker is equal to smart but unsuccessful, and that is really a true thing, right? I mean, like, I was not, maybe I was an overthinker, but like, you just need to take action, right? You have to send cold outreaches, you have to make YouTube videos, right? Like, if you, like, just see, like, oh, like, let me just do market research, well, that is not a waste of time, but like, let's just say that you say that, oh, let me just learn how to do editing for my YouTube videos. That is a waste of time, right? You are a business, you're doing business, right? You're not a video editor. So, like, don't worry about it, just simple cuts and all of these things, right? But yeah, these are the few things that you need for sure if you want to make money, right? Plus, like, if you have any doubts, I will be really open to answer to your DMs, right? So just send me any DMs if you got the way forward, right? Um, I will just try and be the prodigy of this realm, right? I'm not trying to, like, say that I'm superior or inferior, but bro, like, the thing is, like, to me, it's not a game. You know why I began in the first place, right? It's how I live, it's how I show my art, right? And I will show you a side of it that you have never seen before, right? So, like, maybe like 3 months from now, 4 months from now, when I'm gonna be out of this place in a different place, right? I'm gonna talk a lot about it, but like for now, let's just say this, right? And yeah, like that was it for the video.